Okay, y'all, let's talk about it. Bass Reeves, season 1, episode 2. I'm sorry, Lawmen, Bass Reeves, season 1, episode 2, child. So this episode was really all about his expansion westward and, you know, setting up the homestead with his family, which is super, again, something amazing to see. And we see it's kind of fast forward some years because, baby, they got kids. They got kids on kids on kids, okay? Which I love to see. And again, it's really just them settling into farm life. Again, he's making a way, but at this point in his life, he's created quite a reputation for himself. Again, as being a man of integrity, for being a great shot, all those things. So not long after the episode opens, we find him approached by the sheriff, played by Dennis Quaid. And it took me a minute to catch it. I said, that's Dennis Quaid, okay? And Dennis Quaid has a very strong aversion, or his character, the sheriff, has a very strong aversion to indigenous peoples because basically he was scalped, y'all. It's awful to see, but yeah, I mean, he was doing something he probably wasn't supposed to be doing, okay? And so basically he recruits Bass Reeves for this one specific case. Right, they need to catch this man because there's a huge bounty and the judge wants it. And so, you know, the wife is like, go ahead and do it, Bass, do it. And so he just likes to go on this adventure. And of course, he's learning more and more about Dennis Quaid. And ultimately it gets to the point, like, you're gonna have to let that hate out of your heart, right? Because if not, it's gonna ruin you. I know what happened to you, I know what it was, but you're gonna have to let that go. So again, we see Bass as being the voice of reason. So, of course, they have to do this investigation. And so they're going to different settlements and speaking with the indigenous peoples there because the man that they're looking for, Charlie, is an indigenous person. And so they are going around and, you know, the sheriff is just guns a-blazing. But of course, we know, like Bass says in it, you know, you attract more bees with honey than with vinegar. And so, of course, he speaks the language as well. So people are automatically more receptive to him. And he's of color. You know what I mean? And so they are investigating the crime. They ultimately find the guy. And Bass is like, I'll take you around the back. You go to the front. You know, and the sheriff decides he's just going to Molotov cocktail. Because you know how people like to blow stuff up. Anyway, he blows it and sets the man on fire, honey. And Bass really at that point has no other way to respond than to put him out of his misery because the man is literally on fire. Like, just, it was awful. And so afterwards, you know, Bass is kind of pissed off, like, why did you do that? And he's like, that's when he's talking about, you know, this hate in your heart is going to consume you, whatever. And so he ends up beating up the sheriff, child. Bass... he ends up beating up the sheriff, honey. He goes back home and he's like, wife, look, I beat up another white man. And she's like, Bass. So a couple days later, again, they're at home minding their own business and the sheriff and 2 other guys ride up. And Bass is like, okay, take the people inside because they're about to come get me. They're about to come get me because Bass knows what it is. Or so he thinks, but really he's coming with a job. He said, the judge loves you. And you sure you're ready to carry the weight of this badge? And we know Bass is ready to carry the weight of the badge. He's a man of honor and integrity. And even after he had to take out the guy who was on the run, he goes back and meets with the cousin who he had met earlier and made promises to, you know, and just explained what happened. And she was understanding. She was like, I know my cousin. I know him. But again, I am hoping, and I said this, I think, in my initial impressions, I hope that we get kind of like a new case every week. I've never seen a Western serialized in that way. So I'm super excited to see how the season progresses. I am excited to see the Romulus-Remus connection continue on. Overall, like I said, I think it's a great watch. If you're into Westerns, or even if you're not, I think it's a great watch. And like I said, you know, there are aspects of slavery which can be triggering, but I think it's a new look at it. It's not about, you know, really some docile slave that just takes it. I think Bass shows us another side to the narrative or to the tropes that we've seen in years past. So if you guys are still here, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all in the next video.